packed with amazing spots, but if you don't plan it right, you'll waste a ton of time bouncing across the city. So, in this video, we organized the top things to do in Lyon by zone so you can explore faster, see more, and enjoy each area without the zigzag. Before we jump in, here's the game plan so you don't get lost or zigzag across Lyon. We organized this video into 6 easy zones. Zone 1 is the historic heart: Old Lyon, Traboules, Saint-Jean, and Fourvière with the best city views. Zone 2 is the city center: Bellecour, Presqu'île, major squares, shopping streets, and classic Lyon energy. Zone 3 is local Lyon: Croix-Rousse, Canut history, murals, and neighborhood viewpoints. Zone 4 is green spaces and food: Les Halles de Lyon, Paul Bocuse, and Part 2. Zone 5 is modern Lyon: Confluence, riverside walks, cruises, and contemporary architecture. And Zone 6 is for day trips: Pérouges, Beaujolais, vineyards, Miribel-Jonage, Wallaby, and more. At the end, I'll tell you which zones are best if you only have 1, 2, or 3 days. Zone 1, Historic Core. 1. Old Lyon, Vieux Lyon. We start this list in Vieux Lyon, and honestly, it's one of the most unforgettable parts of the city. Part medieval and part Renaissance, Old Lyon, also called the Saint-Jean district, is one of Lyon's historic gems and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. This area is packed with cobblestone streets, a huge cathedral, and museums that feel completely different from the usual city museums. It's also where you'll find Lyon's famous bouchons, which are a huge part of the local food culture. In this district, you can visit the Gadani Museum in a beautiful Renaissance building, the Miniature and Cinema Museum if you love film and practical effects, and the Cathedral of Saint-Jean with its incredible 14th century astronomical clock. The cathedral is free, and Gadani Museum is usually around $11, and the Miniature and Cinema Museum is usually around $18. Insider tip: start Vieux Lyon early in the morning for calmer streets and better photos before the big groups arrive. 2. The Traboules of Lyon. The Traboules deserve their own stop because they're one of the most unique things about Lyon. These hidden pedestrian passages run through buildings and courtyards, connecting one street to another, and they give the city that secret maze feeling. You'll find the highest concentration in Vieux Lyon, but there are also some in Croix-Rousse. You can explore them on your own for free or join a guided Traboules tour, which usually costs around $25 to $45. Some of the most famous ones are the Tour Rose in Old Lyon and the Cour des Varas in Croix-Rousse. If you want to see one of the longest Traboules in Lyon, go to 54 Rue Saint-Jean. Insider tip: keep your voice down while passing through Traboules. People actually live in these buildings. 3. Fourvière Hill and the Basilica of Notre-Dame de Fourvière. From Saint-Jean, you can climb the big stairways up to Fourvière Hill, one of the most iconic spots in Lyon. If you want to save your legs, take the funicular from Vieux Lyon station, which is usually around $2 to $3. At the top, the view opens up over the entire city, and on a clear day, you can even see the Alps in the distance. The Basilica of Notre-Dame de Fourvière is Lyon's most visited monument, and while the exterior looks a little restrained, the interior is beautifully decorated. Entry to the basilica is free. Nearby, you can also visit the ancient theater ruins, which are free, and the Gallo-Roman Museum, which is usually around $8 to $10. Insider tip: go near sunset if you can. The view over Lyon looks amazing in that warm, late-day light. 4. Lunch in a bouchon lyonnais. Visiting Lyon without eating a bouchon is basically missing one of the best parts of the city. A bouchon lyonnais is a traditional local bistro, and it's the perfect place to try Lyon specialties like quenelle, brioche sausage, kidneys, and other classic regional dishes. A meal here in a good bouchon usually costs around $25 to $45 per person, depending on what you order. Some of the most popular bouchons book up quickly, so it's smart to reserve ahead when possible. Insider tip: lunch is often easier to book than dinner, and many bouchons offer great value set menus in the middle of the day. 5. Stroll along the quays of the Rhône and the Saône. Lyon sits at the confluence of two rivers, so walking along the quays is one of the easiest and most enjoyable things to do in the city. The riverbanks are well set up for pedestrians and cyclists, and they give you some of the best open views of Lyon. The Rhône side feels lively and spacious, while the Saône side gives you gorgeous views looking up toward Fourvière. This is a free activity and a great way to connect different parts of the city on foot. Insider tip: walk the quays in the late afternoon or around golden hour for the best lighting and more relaxed atmosphere. 6. Take a cruise in Lyon. Since Lyon has two rivers, a cruise is one of the best ways to see the city from a different angle. A 1-hour sightseeing cruise usually costs around $15 to $18 per person and often passes Old Lyon and the Confluence district. If you want something more special, lunch or dinner cruises are usually around $60 to $110 per person. It's a really nice option if you want to rest your feet while still sightseeing. Insider tip: try to sit on the upper deck or near the windows so you don't miss the riverfront views. Now that we've covered Lyon's historic heart, let's move into the city center where the squares get bigger, the shopping gets better, and the museums keep coming. Zone 2, Central Core. 7. Place Bellecour. Place Bellecour is one of the true anchors of Lyon and a major meeting point for locals. It's also the kilometer zero of the city, which means distances in Lyon are measured from here. The square is one of the largest pedestrian squares in Europe, and from here, you get a beautiful open view toward Fourvière. In the center, you'll see the equestrian statue of Louis XIV, and nearby there's also the statue of the Little Prince and Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. The square itself is free, and in winter, if the Ferris wheel is running, tickets are usually around $8 to $12. 8. The Lyon Peninsula. Presqu'île. The Presqu'île is the central spine of Lyon, and you'll almost definitely walk through it during your trip. It's full of major squares, monuments, shopping streets, and some of the city's most important buildings. This is where you'll find the Rue de la République, Place des Terreaux, Place des Jacobins, Place de Célestine, the Lyon Opera, and City Hall. Walking this district is free, and it's one of the best areas to just wander and take in the architecture. If you want something more fun, a Segway tour in the area usually costs around $45 to $70. Insider tip: late afternoon is a great time here because you can combine sightseeing, shopping, and a cafe stop all in one stretch. 9. Museum of Fine Arts, Musée des Beaux-Arts. The Museum of Fine Arts is one of the best museums in Lyon and absolutely worth adding to your route if you enjoy art and history. It's located on Place des Terreaux, inside the former Abbey of Saint-Pierre, and the building itself is beautiful. Inside, you'll find major collections of European paintings and sculptures, plus a strong antiquities section with a focus on Egypt. General admission is usually around $10, and it may be included with the Lyon City Card. 10. Go shopping in Lyon. Lyon gives you a lot of shopping options depending on what you like. Le Poitou is one of the biggest shopping centers in Europe and has hundreds of shops, restaurants, and a cinema. Confluence Shopping Center is newer and more spacious, and if you prefer street shopping, Rue de la République in the Presqu'île is the classic city center choice. The Carré d'Or is better for luxury brands, while Croix-Rousse is great for vintage and thrift shops. Walking and browsing are free, and your budget depends entirely on what you buy. Insider tip: if your time is limited, combine shopping with your Presqu'île sightseeing so you don't lose half a day going back and forth. 11. Lyon Festival of Lights, seasonal. If you're in Lyon around December 8th, the Festival of Lights is one of the biggest highlights of the year. This tradition has existed since 1852 and now attracts millions of visitors. During the festival, the city lights up with projections, illuminated art, and installations on buildings and monuments across Lyon. Access to the main festival displays is free, though you'll want to budget for food and transport because the city gets crowded. From the center of Lyon, let's head uphill into one of the city's most unique neighborhoods, full of history, hidden passages, and amazing viewpoints. Zone 3, Upper Lyon. 12. Croix-Rousse. Croix-Rousse feels like a village inside Lyon, and it has a completely different energy from the city center. It sits on a plateau and is known for its strong local identity and working-class history. This was the district of the Canuts, Lyon's silk workers, and the architecture still reflects that past with high ceilings and large windows designed for weaving machines. In this area, you can visit the Maison des Canuts, usually around $7 to $10, see the giant Fresque des Canuts mural for free, and stop by the painted wall of the famous Lyonnais. Finish your walk at Gros Caillou or along Monti de la Grande Côte for some of the best city views. Insider tip: take your time here. Croix-Rousse is one of those neighborhoods that's best enjoyed slowly, not rushed. 13. Traboules of Croix-Rousse, extension stop. Even though the Traboules are famous in Lyon, Croix-Rousse has some of the most interesting ones too, especially if you want a less touristy feel. The Cour de Varos is the best known one here and gives you a great sense of the neighborhood's history and architecture. Visiting is free, and it's a perfect add-on while you're already exploring Croix-Rousse. Insider tip: late afternoon's a great time for this stop because the light in the stairways and courtyards can be really beautiful. Next, we're shifting from Lyon's hilltop neighborhoods to its greener side. Parks, gardens, and some of the best food stops in the city. Zone 4, Green and Food Side. 14, Parc de la Tête d'Or. Parc de la Tête d'Or is one of the most loved places in Lyon, and it's easy to see why. It's the largest park in the city and a perfect place to take a break from museums and walking streets. You can explore the zoo, the botanical garden, the rose garden, and the lake area, or rent a pedal boat or ride the small train. Access to the park, zoo, and many garden areas is free, while activities like the train or pedal boats usually cost around $4 to $12. It's especially great if you're traveling with kids or just want a calmer part of the day. Insider tip: go in the morning if you want the park to feel peaceful. Weekend afternoons can get busy with locals. 15. Les Halles de Lyon Paul Bocuse. Les Halles is one of the best food stops in Lyon and a dream place if you love local specialties. It's a covered market with around 60 traders, including cheesemongers, pastry shops, chocolatiers, and prepared food counters. This is the place to try Lyon classics like charcuterie, quenelle, and praline tart in one shop. A tasting-style visit can cost around $15 to $40, depending on how much you try. It's not a cheap market, but the quality is excellent. Insider tip: come hungry and treat it like a tasting tour. Grab small bites from different stalls instead of one big meal. 16. Part 2 District. The Part 2 District is mostly known as Lyon's business area, but it's also practical for visitors because of shopping, transport, and modern skyline views. This is where you'll find one of the city's biggest shopping areas and some of Lyon's tallest towers. It's also close to major train connections, so many travelers pass through it anyway. Exploring the district is free, but if you go up to one of the high-floor restaurants or bars for a skyline view, expect to spend around $20 to $60 depending on what you order. Insider tip: if you want a different view of Lyon than Fourvière, this is one of the best places to catch a modern city panorama at sunset. Now, let's head south to modern Lyon, where the architecture turns futuristic and the museums feel completely different from the historic center. Zone 5, Modern South. 17, Confluence District and Musée de Confluence. The Confluence District is Lyon's modern face, built where the Rhône and the Saône meet. This former industrial area has been transformed into a contemporary eco-district with modern buildings, shops, offices, and waterfront spaces. The biggest attraction here is the Musée de Confluence, a futuristic museum that quickly became one of Lyon's must-see stops. Inside, you'll find exhibits on the origins of life, archaeology, death rituals, and societies and civilizations, all presented in a way that feels modern and easy to follow. Museum entry is usually around $13. 18. Confluence Shopping and Riverside Walk. While you're in the area, the Confluence Shopping Center is an easy add-on if you want a newer, more spacious shopping experience. It's modern, comfortable to walk, and easy to pair with the museum and riverside. Walking through the district and along the waterfront is free, and shopping costs depend on what you buy. The riverbanks here have a very different vibe from Old Lyon, more open, more modern, and really nice for a slower walk. Insider tip. If you're filming content, this district gives you great contrast compared to Vieux Lyon and Fourvière. We've covered the city itself. Now let's look at the best day trips and outdoor escapes around Lyon if you're staying longer. Zone 6, day trips and countryside. 19, the medieval village of Pérouges. Pérouges is about 40 minutes from Lyon by car and is one of the best day trips in the region. It's often ranked among the most beautiful villages in France, and once you arrive, it really feels like stepping into the Middle Ages. The cobbled streets, stone buildings, and narrow lanes create a total change of atmosphere. Walking the village is free, and lunch in one of the local restaurants usually costs around $20 to $40 per person. If you're visiting in the summer, there's often a medieval festival with costumes, shows, and a market. Insider tip. Go early in the day, Pérouges gets much busier later with day trippers. 20. Grand Parc de Miribel-Jonage. If you want a nature break near Lyon, Grand Parc de Miribel-Jonage is a great choice. It's a huge outdoor area with lakes, beaches, and plenty of family-friendly activities. In summer, people come here to swim, paddle, canoe, and relax by the water. Entry to the park is usually free, and water activities like paddle or pedal boat are typically around $10 to $30 depending on the rental. It's also a great place for biking or teaching kids to ride. Insider tip. This is one of the best warm weather escapes from the city, especially if you want a slower, outdoorsy day. 21. Wallaby-Rhône Alps Amusement Park. If you're staying in Lyon for a week and want a break from sightseeing, Wallaby is a fun all-day option. It's both an amusement park and a water park with thrill rides and attractions for families, couples, and friends. The park is about an hour from central Lyon by car, and shuttle options may run on some summer days. Ticket prices vary, but standard admission is usually around $31 to $43. Insider tip. Book your ticket early online and arrive right when the park opens to avoid long lines on the most popular rides. 22. Anse. Anse is a Gallo-Roman town about 30 kilometers north of Lyon and a nice half-day trip if you want something quieter. Parts of the town still have 15th century houses, mosaic floors, and older architectural details that make it feel different from the city. It's the kind of place where the best plan is simple. Spend the morning wandering, then have lunch in a local restaurant. Walking the town is free, and lunch usually costs around $18 to $35 per person. 23. The Beaujolais Vineyard. Whether you're a wine lover or just curious, a Beaujolais day trip is one of the best experiences around Lyon. Lyon sits very close to Beaujolais, so it's easy to visit vineyards, villages, and wineries in a single day. Some wineries offer tastings that are free, while others charge around $10 to $25 depending on the experience. If you prefer not to drive, guided wine tours from Lyon usually cost around $90 to $170 and often include cellar visits and tastings. Insider tip. Even if you don't know much about wine, don't stress. Most tours are beginner-friendly and the scenery alone makes it worth it. Useful information before visiting Lyon. Best time to visit Lyon. The best time to visit Lyon is May to June and September to October when the weather is pleasant, the city feels lively, and it's comfortable to walk between zones. Spring and early fall are ideal for outdoor spots like Vieux Lyon, Fourvière, and the river quays without the heavy summer heat. July and August are still great, but they can be warmer and busier, especially around major sites and restaurant areas. December is also an amazing time if you want to experience Lyon's famous Festival of Lights, but book early because hotels fill up fast. Where to stay in Lyon? Where you stay in Lyon depends on the vibe you want. Presqu'île is the best all-around base for first-time visitors because it puts you between Old Lyon and the city center with easy access to restaurants, shopping, and public transport. Expect around $120 to $260 per night for a good mid-range hotel. Vieux Lyon is perfect if you want charm and historic streets right outside your door, with boutique stays usually around $140 to $300 per night. Pardieu is a practical choice if you want easier train access and modern hotels, often around $100 to $220 per night. If you want a more local and relaxed feel, Croix-Rousse is a great pick with smaller hotels and apartments, usually around $110 to $240 per night. How to get around Lyon? Lyon is one of the easiest French cities to get around without a car. The metro, tram, and buses are reliable and connect most major areas, and single tickets are usually around $2 to $3, while a day pass is often around $7 to $8. If you plan to visit multiple museums, the Lyon City Card can be a smart deal because it combines transport and museum entry. Walking works really well in areas like Presqu'île, Vieux Lyon, and the River Quays, but for hills like Fourvière and funicular and metro save a lot of energy. Taxis and ride shares are available, but traffic can slow things down during peak hours. Where to eat in Lyon? Lyon is one of the best food cities in France, so this is the place to come hungry. For a classic local experience, try a traditional bouchon lyonnais and order specialties like quenelle, brioche sausage, or praline tart. A full meal at a good bouchon usually runs around $25 to $45 per person. Les Bouchons des Cordeliers and Daniel et Denise are popular choices for that old-school Lyonnais feel, so reservations help a lot. For a more upscale food stop, Les Halles de Lyon Paul Bocuse is perfect for grazing through pastries, cheeses, charcuterie, and local specialties, and you can spend anywhere from $15 to $50 depending on how much you try. For a vegetarian option, Against the Grain is a great plant-focused spot with creative dishes, and most meals here are around $15 to $25 per person. Alright, before you go, here's the quick cheat sheet for how to plan your Lyon trip by time. If you have one day, do Zone 1 and Zone 2. These give you the biggest highlights and the best first impression of the city without wasting time. If you have 2 days, do Zone 1, Zone 2, and Zone 3. That's the sweet spot for seeing the major sites while keeping your route easy and organized. If you have 3 days, do Zone 1, Zone 2, Zone 3, and Zone 4. This gives you the full Lyon experience with a great mix of history, viewpoints, local vibes, and food. If this helped you, hit subscribe and share this video with a friend so you can plan the trip together and not zigzag all day. And don't go anywhere, watch our Paris guide next for the same zone-by-zone travel game plan.